right, yes, perfect. First forecast in around 2 to 3 weeks. And my main focus in this coming week, just to clear that up immediately, is I want to get back in sync with the market. So if there is an opportunity, I will take it, of course, but I'm not putting a lot of expectation in this first week. Again, the way I see this is we are going to trade a full calendar year, right? So in that full year, there's going to be a lot of opportunities. Now, doesn't mean that we should rush back in right now. No. Let's have this warming up, like in sports, etc. Let's warm up a little bit, and then that meet in the middle. So the rest of the months, February, the month March, May, etc., is where we fully want to get involved again until then December arrives again. So that is what our focus is on. So here I'm trying to get back in sync of the market. I'm not expecting too much of the market right now. We are in this for a marathon. It's not a sprint right now. We're not rushing back in to make the most profits in the first week of a year. We want to make good profits throughout the whole year. That is our focus. So how can we do that? Well, first off, we need to understand the volatility is slowly coming back into the market. Meaning that the banks, the bigger institutions, etc. are also starting up again, and they are getting ready for a new year. So here, the volatility is slowly starting to get better. High probability conditions are slowly coming back into the market as well. So this week, we can see we don't have a lot of news events. It's still pretty shy. As in, last week we just had, well, I would argue just a week where you don't necessarily want to do anything. The market is still very slow right there. Still very waiting for the volatility to come back. And then this week is slowly the starter week, getting back in sync. And then the next week and the week after that is just like normal, just getting back like normal and getting involved again. So this week right now, what I want to focus on is CHF right there. Some JPY, Australian dollar, CHF again, GBP and US dollar. Perfect. If I'm getting involved on the US dollar, I can already tell that I am not getting involved at the beginning of the week. In the indices could be Forex, no. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not really. After 8:30 on Thursday, I could get involved for the US dollar Forex pairs, and Friday as well. But the beginning of the week, not necessarily. So let's focus currently on CHF. Do we have JPY news later on in the week? No, we have CHF, Australian dollar, and GBP US dollar. Let's write that down. So let's actually create a quick text right there, the anchored text. It is CHF and then JPY, Australian dollar, not JPY, sorry, Australian dollar, GBP and US dollar. So I'm going to go into this pretty blind actually to see what we are dealing with. Let me create a watermark off of this. Watermark. Perfect. It's this one. I'm not sure if it is this one. Watermark. All right, perfect. This is the one. Let's see. Perfect. All right, now if we go over the dollar first, of course, like we always do, then on the dollar, what are we seeing? We started on the monthly time frame. On the monthly time frame, we have a monthly fair value gap sitting right there. Now, this monthly value gap is definitely something we can trade back into. But is this candle right there, the third monthly candle, is that really setting up to trade back into the monthly value gap already this month? I do not think so. And the reason for that is because we closed below the previous, we closed below the previous month low right there. So I am not necessarily expecting price to come back into there to continue lower already. So here, for me, it is fine to potentially look at this weekly fair value gap right there with the order block as well on the weekly to continue lower off of that instead. So that could be quite interesting right here to continue lower off of that. Now, to actually continue lower off of that, I would need a little bit more confirmation here, which I do already like, because what we can see is we have a daily fair value gap sitting right there. That daily fair value gap is not pushing price higher, as in it's not creating a new daily fair value gap higher off of that. It's sweeping this high right there, So here we can potentially continue lower already. That is looking quite nice, really interesting. I do quite like it. 4 hour value gap right there. Can we get another 4 hour value gap to actually confirm that price action lower, to confirm that order flow? That would be very nice to eventually continue lower. Now, most of the year, I am expecting bearish prices right here, and I'm expecting bearish prices towards potentially these fair value gaps as well right there. So mainly expecting bearish prices, although I do not think this is the top right there on the dollar long term. I do think we can still continue lower first to then eventually head higher right there. So that can definitely be very interesting as well. Now, if we take a look actually at quickly, because I saw people mentioning the yearly, which is quite interesting as well. So if we quickly take a look at it, then here we can clearly see that yearly fair value gap actually right there, which is quite interesting. I personally do not really incorporate the yearly, but it's only once a year that you can look at it. So if we take a look at it right there, yearly fair value gap sitting right there, which we can definitely aim for. And if we can continue higher off of that, could also be very interesting. All right, then mainly just bearish on the dollar right now. If we take that into account and then we look at ES and the rest of the indices, then on ES, what is happening? We are potentially creating a monthly value higher, which is still taking 25 days. On the weekly, we have this weekly value gap higher right there with overlapping highs. So this right there is the fair value area, right? This area sitting right there is the fair value area. So here I would already expect higher price of that. A retracement very low into this, I would not expect that. I would not like that as well. So here we can definitely look to continue higher off of this as well. Waiting for the proper confirmation. That is very important. Waiting for the right confirmation. That is very important to understand. Then for NASDAQ, let's see on the monthly, also having this monthly value gap right there, but close to all-time highs. On the weekly, I would argue the same exact thing, where we have these highs sitting right there. We have somewhat of an order block actually nested inside those highs as well. So here, I'm definitely looking at higher prices overall. Let's see if we get the confirmation to continue higher as well. So if you're a flow trader, 1 hour, 50 minutes, let's check those and see if we want to continue higher or continue lower for a while still. So let's look at YM. And on YM, we can see as well monthly fair value gap potentially continue higher, still taking 25 days, close to those all-time highs right there. So here, a small little retracement potentially into the weekly value gap right there to already continue higher off of that could as well be very nice. Definitely overall still bullish. Then if we take a look at DAX right here, we are coming into the overlapping part, which is quite nice. I do really like that because that's again the same fair value story. Fair value gap and the overlapping highs can continue higher off of that. So if you get the right confirmation, could as well be really nice. We already have the ST, continuing higher off of that. Definitely very interesting. All right, Australian dollar, US dollar. Let's see. On the monthly right there, monthly fair value gap right there, but it is quite low if we do want to continue higher. Then on the weekly, we are coming into a weekly order block. So if the dollar wants to continue lower, then Australian dollar, US dollar, of course, can continue higher as well. So here it's mainly waiting to see what do we actually want to do right now. And overall, I would still argue, still looking quite bullish, still looking very bullish. So this is definitely, if we get the right confirmation as well, could definitely be interesting to target these highs eventually right there. Definitely going to add it to the long list. EU, let's see on the monthly fair value gap right there. But again, we have this ST being created. The main importance is that we are disrespecting this bearish fair value gap with a bullish fair value gap, indicating to me that we could definitely aim higher towards these highs right there. And mainly the previous month's high, which is the first target. So on the weekly, let's see, not really a weekly fair value gap higher. We do have, well, is that a small weekly fair value gap actually? Let me see. Is it? No, it's not. So here, it is also not something I would want to get involved in. If anything, if we can get daily confirmation higher, as in daily Verwijp gap higher, to then target those highs could be nice, but I prefer other pairs right now. GU, let's see. On the monthly, clear monthly Verwijp gap as well. This is actually closer to the monthly Verwijp gap than EU was, so that is quite interesting actually. But if we do take a look at the weekly not super clear, not a weekly Verwijp gap higher. Daily as well, not super clear. What goes through my mind right here is either daily Verwijp gap higher or still wait for that monthly Verwijp gap higher sitting right there. Other than that, it's purely waiting right now for me. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Let's take a look. Let's actually delete everything right there. Month Verwijp gap as well. And on the weekly, we are also coming into that weekly order block, very similar to Australian dollar, US dollar. So here, this could be interesting potentially at the end of the week as well, when we have that US dollar news. Other than that, still waiting. Would still want to wait right here. We have the 4-hour ST. We have very nice STs, to be honest, on New Zealand dollar, US dollar, Australian dollar, US dollar. They are looking quite nice right there to potentially continue higher as well. Looking quite nice. US dollar, Canadian dollar. All right. Let's see. Let's delete everything again. Then on the monthly, we are potentially creating a monthly bearish Verwijp gap. Not that relevant currently though. Weekly Verwijp gap and this weekly Verwijp gap as well could potentially come into the overlapping part. On the daily Verwijp gap right there, which we are currently respecting but not creating a new daily Verwijp gap higher off that. This is more so 50-50 for me, and I do not really want to get involved here. US dollar CHF, let's see. By the looks of it, we reached the target, I imagine. Yes, we did. So potentially creating month Verwijp gap as well lower, which could be very interesting. Weekly Verwijp gap sitting right there though, overlapping with the lows. So if you want to continue lower, that is definitely where we can continue lower from. So that is mainly what I would expect. Move into the weekly Verwijp gap to continue lower off that. Could be very, very interesting right here as well. I am going to add it to the short list. US dollar JPY. Let's see on the monthly. Monthly, nothing much going on. We can look to target potentially this swing low, but first this previous month's low right there. On the weekly, just really not that clear. We're sweeping actually this swing low right there, then continuing higher. Daily, I do not really like this. For me, it's very 50-50. I can make bullish and bearish arguments right here. Don't want to get involved. Silver, let's see. Last time we looked at it, we were expecting somewhat of higher prices. On the weekly, didn't create anything. Daily as well, then we would purely have to trade off the daily, which the last daily Verwijp gap being created was this one, but before that, it was this one in the beginning of December. So overall, I don't really like this, do not really want to trade it right now. Gold, let's see. Gold as well, overall still quite bullish, but quickly look at the monthly and the weekly. Monthly, not super clear. Weekly Verwijp gap higher right there, not really respecting it. Daily Verwijp gap lower, respecting the swing low as well. Very 50-50 for me, do not want to get involved. Want to wait for more clear signs on the dollar if I want to get involved. Then on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has just been consolidating ever since we left it alone actually. Let's see. Let's remove some things, because on the monthly, we have monthly Verwijp gaps as well being created and already being created. Then on the weekly, we still have this weekly Verwijp gap sitting right there. So can we still deliver into that to then continue higher? Because clearly, it is quite struggling right now to continue higher off of those daily Verwijp gaps alone. So if we can still come into that, could be quite nice to then eventually continue higher as well. Then crude oil, let's see. Crude oil, we have the monthly Verwijp gap sitting right there, which we can definitely potentially trade into. On the weekly, all right, not too clear on the weekly right now. On the daily, I do really like, since we are not following through on this daily Verwijp gap, if anything, and if you're a flow trader, I would look to target this weekly Verwijp gap sitting right there. That could be quite nice actually. Monthly Verwijp gap, right? Yes, monthly Verwijp gap. All right, Nifty. Nifty currently continuing higher as well. Not really showing any kinds of retracement. So here I still want to wait if we do get any retracement. We have this order block and fair value gap overlapping, continuing higher after that. Could be nice, but since it's so high, I mainly want to wait because I feel like I'm either chasing price or I'm trying to call a top. So for the crosses, let's see. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Ooh, this is looking very ugly, but let's give it a shot. Monthly fair value gap right there, which could be a nice target as well, since we are definitely setting up to trade into that. Weekly, not that clear. Daily as well, not that clear. I don't want to trade this. Don't want to trade this, and it's looking very messy. Australian dollar CHF, which could definitely be tradable if price action is nice, because we do have news supporting the ID. On the monthly fair value gap, which is not creating a new monthly fair value gap lower. Weekly fair value gap sitting right there, which we could potentially trade into as well. On the daily, not creating a new daily fair value gap off of the previous daily fair value gap. Just not super clear in my opinion. This is definitely an interesting swing low. If we can sweep that, potentially to then target the weekly fair value gap right there, that could be interesting because that is also a previous week low. That could potentially be interesting, but for now I'll put it on the waiting list since time is supporting the idea of trading it, so could potentially be interesting. Australian dollar JPY, let's see. Monthly, not really clean or anything. Weekly, not respecting the weekly fair value gap, so if anything I would want to target this new swing high right there. Daily fair value gap potentially higher right there to continue higher to target this swing high. That could potentially be nice. I am going to add it to the long list. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Well, by just looking at the daily, to be honest, I don't really like this and very messy in my opinion. By just looking at the daily, don't want to trade this. Canadian dollar CHF, let's see. On the monthly, nothing really clear. On the weekly, let's see. Weekly fair value gap sitting right there, which we can of course play around with a little bit, as in can target it, potentially trade off of it. 4 hour. Other than that, not super clear. I'm not going to add it to the list. Canadian dollar JPY doesn't have time supporting the ID, so I'm going to skip it. CHF JPY, let's see. Monthly, potentially sweeping that high, but potentially creating a new fair value as well. On the weekly, not super clean, but if we can get a weekly fair value higher to overlap with the highs, that could potentially be nice. Daily fair value higher, that would be my only bet, which again, if we have only daily context, not a clean weekly or monthly, then don't really like it in my opinion, but I'm going to add it to the waiting list. Euro Australian dollar. This is not looking good on the daily time frame. Let's see on the monthly. Not really looking clean. Weekly as well, not super clean. Don't really like this, do not want to trade it. Euro Canadian dollar, no news. Euro CHF right there is what we then go to. Let's see. Monthly is quite nice actually, creating a new monthly fair value gap of the previous monthly fair value gap. Weekly as well, quite nice. Weekly fair value gap right there, creating a new weekly fair value gap lower off of that as well. So here, weekly fair value gap to continue lower again, that could potentially be quite nice. I do really like this. Looks quite interesting. I like it. Adding it to the short list. Euro GBP. Let's see. Monthly quite messy from what I am seeing. Delete everything. Potentially target previous month high, previous month low. Closest targets. Weekly disrespecting weekly bullish fair value gap. So we can potentially look to continue lower actually. Let's see on the daily. Well, if we get some bearish fair value gaps right here, I could definitely see the idea of continuing lower. So if we have that GBP new supporting the idea, could potentially be nice. I am going to add it to the short list. Euro JPY, no news. Euro New Zealand dollar, no news. GBP Australian dollar, let's see. On the monthly, not that clean. Weekly order block right there. So we can potentially look to continue lower off of that if we get the right confirmation. So that could be quite interesting. I am going to add it to the waiting list to wait for that confirmation. 4 hour daily fair value gaps lower. GBP Canadian dollar. Let's see. Monthly. Not really clean. Weekly, sweeping that weekly swing low right there to potentially continue higher. Daily, not clean for me. Not too clean. Don't really like it. I'm going to skip it. GBP/JPY. Let's see. And by the looks of it, on a monthly and weekly fair value gap sitting right there, which we can target. Let's see how we want to reject there. In the meantime, that weekly fair value gap is a target right there. So let's see how we reject off that weekly fair value gap. I'm going to add it to the waiting list. GBP New Zealand dollar. Let's see. On the monthly, weekly lows right there, but there's no fair value gap or anything, which I do not like. Or is this a very small fair value gap? A very small fair value gap, I believe. Yeah, extremely small fair value gap, but would not really count it as a fair value gap myself. Excuse me, as well this fair value gap. Very small fair value gaps, and I do not really like those small fair value gaps. On the daily, as well, not too clean. So here I am going to skip it. New Zealand dollar CHF, the last one. Let's see, on the monthly, extreme consolidation. Weekly as well consolidating. Daily, from what we saw as well consolidating. Do not want to get involved in here. New Zealand dollar JPY, no new supporting ID, so I don't want to trade this. Alright, that is currently what I'm looking at, this list. And of course, I'll keep you updated throughout the week. Perfect, thank you.